Trichomoniasis is a reproductive disease of cattle that we used to think of as only being a problem in those states where there was government lands, where there was a lot of communal grazing, where several herds were run in the same area throughout the course of the breeding season, and therefore bulls from different operations were being mated with cows from several different herds. Well, as time moves forward, we find out that trichomoniasis actually becomes a bigger problem in some of our herds here in Oklahoma, where we're doing just normal reproductive programs with turning bulls out into the pastures with the cows. With that in mind, back in 2011, on the first day of that year, a new rule went into effect in our state, whereby bulls that were changing hands had to be tested to see if they were carriers of this reproductive disease. And with that new rule, then we started to identify potential carriers of trichomoniasis and could remove them from our herd populations in Oklahoma. With me today is Dr. Rod Hall with the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food and Forestry. He is our state veterinarian. And Dr. Hall has helped us a lot with understanding the new rule that came into effect in 2011 on how bulls need to be tested. And we thought it'd be good for him to kind of review today what that rule is and to give us a little idea of what changes you've seen in the last couple of years.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me, Glenn. The new rule did go into effect January 1, 2011. The disease itself is, as you said, it's a disease that's spread only in breeding cattle. Bulls are the sex that does keep the disease active, and once they're infected, they remain infected for life. Female cattle can become infected, and they can infect a clean bull, but they normally get rid of the disease after they've been through several heat cycles. We worked together with OSU Cooperative Extension Service. We really worked hard to try to educate producers, and I was real pleased with the way that went. In 2011, we tested in the state approximately 7,300 bulls for trichomoniasis, and of those 7,300, we had 151 positive, which is a 2.1% infected rate. The majority of those bulls, or about half of them, were in about 10 counties in the northeastern corner of the state, but it was spread throughout the state. We saw it not from every county, but from every section of the state. So we were interested to see, we didn't make any changes from 2011 to 2012 in the rules. We were interested to see what would happen, and in 2012, we tested a few more bulls, so around 7,500. We had 101 positive bulls for a 1.4% infection rate. So we decreased 0.7%. Once again, over half the bulls that were positive were in that northeastern corner of the state, and actually 28 of those bulls were from one herd that had a really bad problem with it. So we felt like we made some progress. You know, anyone who had any statistics classes knows that you can't base anything on 2 years statistics, but it does look like we're making some progress. I think the best thing we've done is to educate our producers. We have many more people now who know about the disease, who are aware of the way they can get the disease. And I hope that because of that, we'll continue to see a decline in the incidence of the disease here in Oklahoma.
Very good. Can you just remind the producers what's involved with testing a bull for trichomoniasis?
Okay. Sure. Yeah, the test involves getting a sample of the bull's what we call smegma, which is just the material that collects in the prepuce of the bull. This is not a disease that gets into the animal system, so it can't be tested with a blood test or anything. The only test is either a culture or a test called a PCR for the DNA of the organism that causes it. So the veterinarian has to go in, usually with a pipette about 18 or 24 inches long, and kind of scrape the lining of that sheath of the bull, and at the same time put some negative pressure on that and try to suck a little bit of that material that's in there into the pipette. That material then is transferred to a pouch of growth media that allows the organism to start growing and reproducing, and it is then transferred to the laboratory where the testing is actually done.
Well, I think that we've shown with Dr. Hall's help that they're making real progress in terms of trying to reduce the incidence of trichomoniasis here in Oklahoma. I certainly encourage producers as they're marketing bulls to continue to have those bulls tested. And if you have any problem in terms of reproduction in your herd, visit with your local veterinarian and perhaps ask about whether the bulls that you have on your place need to be tested for trichomoniasis to see if this is the problem why you may have more open cows than you would expect. Hey, we look forward to visiting with you again next week on Sunup's Cow-Calf Corner.